I'm Joey Sintestas. I'm an enrolled member of the Confederate Tribes of Warm Springs. And today I will demonstrate how I was taught to do fry bread. Going far back as my grandma teaching me and showing me how to do this. I'm no expert by any means. This is just how I was taught. There are recipes and history on the internet if you Google them. Just from what I was told throughout the oral history is the flour, the salt, the baking powder, the basic necessities for baking were all provided by the army to the tribes while they were placed on the reservations. They had an obligation to take care of the Native Americans on the reservations, thus supplying them with necessities to feed themselves. There's no exact recipe. Each family seems to have their own secrets, recipes, methods, and this is mine. So whatever works for you, this is what works for me. You just need some practice. Just play with it and do with it. So I was taught using my hands as measuring devices rather than exact cups and teaspoons, tablespoons, because my ancestors didn't have that while they were in encampment. So all-purpose flour, no particular brand. Baking powder, again, no particular brand. Salt and warm water. I like to use as hot as I can stand to keep my hands to where it's not scalding hot, but it's not tepid cold. We have the grease, the vegetable oil heating in a frying pan as to get it to the right temperature. You get the oil going while you're mixing, so you're doing two things at once, not having to wait for one or the other. So this amount of water, just a pint jar, is usually good for 10 handfuls. So let's start from there. It's just easy. Just a good handful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that's the first ingredient, is the flour. Let's put it off to the side. And just using the fingertips to mix and aerate. The second ingredient is love. Using your fingertips to get it aerated, fluff it up, just get it ready to accept the other ingredients. So lots of love here. The baking powder, measure out, again, my hand, just the basic cupping. My hand to cover the palm, sprinkle it in. 2 of these, a little much. The palm. And just like rice, you're cooking 2-to-1 ratio. You do 2 baking powder to 1 salt. And for this, you do a quarter sized to a 50-cent piece, if people use those anymore, sized salt. Sprinkle that in. Mix it. Just using the fingertips. Add a little bit more love into it. So it's nice and fluffy. Everything is mixed. Then we make a well in the middle of the bowl. You can see that. To hold the water. You do just a little bit of water at first. Just using the fingertips, get it mixed. Be sure to spin the bowl so you get all the dough, or the flour, sorry. Add a little bit more water. It's going to get sticky. Don't be afraid to get your hands in there and just get it mixed up. When it's too sticky like this, that means we added too much water. So we need to put a little more flour into it. Just do one more handful. Saturated. Still feeling a little sticky. Just add a little bit more flour. Probably half of the handful. Now it's starting to take form. We don't want to knead the dough very hard. This isn't tortillas. If we were making tortillas, we'd be reaping on it using our whole hand, but we're just using the fingertips. This is still a little sticky. Sorry guys, I'm not good at measuring exact. It's just consistency. The best way I can describe it is if you ever made pizza dough from hand or from scratch, that's kind of what you want it to feel like. And it's getting there. It's still a little sticky. Now, a question has been brought up about freezing the dough. You can freeze it. It'll be fine, but it's a good idea to freeze individual little handfuls of dough rather than the whole batch. Because if you freeze the whole batch, you'll have to defrost the whole batch. And if you just want to cook one or two fry bread, then you only out one or two. Now that's starting to feel how it should. So there's the dough. The fry bread dough needs time to rise. We don't use yeast, or I don't use yeast or sugar or any of the other stuff to make it rise rapidly. Just good old-fashioned time, patience. Getting the the excess off your fingers helps in determining if your oil is ready for the big balls of dough that we're flattening out. So that's how you mix dough.